everyone. We have a very special guest with us today. His name is Major Gaurav Arya and he has served in the 17th Kumaon Regiment of the Indian Army. Thank you, sir, for sparing your time and talking to us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, how was your life in the academy, sir? The OTA Chennai?
Life in the academy was terrible. Life in the academy is always terrible for everybody. When I joined the academy, I was overweight, I was physically unfit, and so the next 1 year in OTA was pure hell for me, pure hell.
Okay.
Yes.
So what made you select Kumaon Regiment as your regiment, sir?
When I selected the Kumaon Regiment, I saw, my instructors, normally what you do is, either you have knowledge of the army before you select a regiment, or for people like me who did not come from an army background, you look up to your instructors. We had very good instructors from Kumaon, so that gave me a certain sort of motivation that, I want to be like this officer.
Yes, sir.
So, I saw these instructors from the Kumaon Regiment and I wanted to be like them, which is why I opted for Kumaon.
So, how do you feel about the Ragda system, sir?
In the academy?
Yes, sir.
I think it's very good here. I think it should be, as long as the Ragda in the academy, as long as there is no corporal punishment. And during my time, and even now, we did not see one instance of anybody hitting somebody.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, even without touching the other person, the training is designed in such a manner that they break a person mentally and physically. That is the whole intent of training. First they break you and then they make you. So I think it's very, very important that you're put through that kind of stress, because at the end of the day, you're preparing people for war.
Yes,
and if you're preparing people for war, then you cannot be kind to those people. You have to make them tough. People come from civilian backgrounds, People come where they have mothers looking after them and they have fathers looking after them. And they come from a very safe and a warm cocoon of their families, and suddenly they come to this academy where everybody is screaming at you and everything is by the watch and everything is by the clock. And in the first term, you're not walking, you're running, and it's like 24/7 madness in the academy. So it's very important.
So, which was your most feared punishment, sir?
Punishment?
Is it the cream roll or the royal bath?
No. See, punishments in the army, mostly 90% of the punishments are, if I get punished, my platoon or the company gets punished together. So most of the time it was fun in the sense that, everybody was in the same boat. So there are 30 of us doing the same cream roll and the front roll and the back roll together and doing those endless push-ups and cross-country runs. So when it happens in a group, it's fun.
Yes.
It's when you're singled out. The worst punishment which I didn't like at all was in the drill square, rifle on top of my head and taking the round of the Parmeshwaran parade grounds in OTA Chennai in the Chennai heat. At that time it used to be Madras.
Yes,
it became Chennai later on.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that was terrible. Otherwise it was not a big problem. We have friends, so when you can share with your friends it becomes easier.
So how was your life in the Kumaon Regiment, sir?
Lovely, fantastic. The officers, the men, everybody, they were very kind and very affectionate. And yet they were quite stern and tough also. And it's a glorious regiment. It's got a great past. We have given this army 3 chiefs and 2 Paramveer Chaks. In fact, the first PVC of India, Major Somnath Sharma, in the 1947-48 Battle of Badgaon, was won by my regiment. And then one of the most famous battles post-independence in 1962, Battle of Irzangla, Major Shatan Singh, was also from the Kumaon Regiment. So yes, it's a regiment that I'm extremely proud of. I'm from 17 Kumaon, extremely proud of my unit. And we are still in touch. Social media makes it easier to be in touch, but definitely we are still in touch, and they care a lot for me.
So coming to the facts, sir, how was your life in Kashmir? What is the ground reality in Kashmir?
See, the ground reality in Kashmir is that whatever I saw of Kashmir, especially in the counter-infiltration grid along the line of control, Pakistan Army has made consistent and well-planned efforts to push in terrorists inside our area, and it has been our endeavor to stop terrorism there and not allow it to cross our level A defenses. The problem is that, a lot of people say that, they ask questions from the army that how is it that, these people managed to infiltrate, and how did an Uri happen? How did a Pathankot happen? How did a Nagrota happen? People ask these questions. But many people forget the basic fact that, for every one terrorist strike that happens, 99% or 99 of them have been thwarted at the border. So, it's not a foolproof plan, but I'm telling you that it's 99% effective, if not 100%. So we stop 99, one may get through, because after all, there are human beings at the border. But it's a largely successful counter-infiltration grid.
So, I would like to say that we suddenly at INDRA feel that there is a sudden pressure from China and Pakistan to join India into the CPEC. For example, we can say about Chandu Babulal, they told they were handing over in the case of humanitarian aid. But in fact, after recent revelations, we feel that he was drugged and beaten very badly during that time. So, how far is that humanitarian feeling of Pakistan?
No, I don't think Pakistan has any sense of humanity whatsoever. I think you must remember the case of Captain Gaurav Arya.
Yes, sir.
And I can't even mention what they did to him. And he was a young, bright, brave officer who was doing his duty. And when he was captured by the Pakistan army, he was on Indian soil.
Yes, sir.
You see, Captain Saurabh Kalia did not cross over and go into Pakistan. He was on Indian soil, and Pakistan has got this very long tradition. We often say in the army that between soldiers there is a code of honor. You can be my enemy, but I will always be honorable in conduct.
Yes, sir.
And for an officer and a gentleman, and for a soldier, a jawan, that honorable conduct is what separates us from barbarians. Because we are also in the trade of life and death.
Yes, sir.
We take lives, we give lives. That is what our job is, that is what our duty is. But we must never forget that there is something called honorable conduct. How an officer is supposed to behave, how a soldier is supposed to behave. That is what separates us from barbarians. Unfortunately, the Pakistan army has learned nothing of this. They mutilate bodies, they cut off heads, they torture people. We had 92,000 prisoners in the 1971 war. And each of them were returned with full honor, with full dignity, back to their motherland.
Yes, sir.
We could have killed 92,000 Pakistanis. Not one was harmed. We looked after them.
Yes, sir.
And we treated them with respect and honor. Not because of the Geneva Conventions only, while Geneva Conventions are very
Yes.
important, but because of our old culture. We have a very old culture, 5,000 years old, 6,000 years old culture. And our culture does not permit us to raise our hands on people who are defenseless, to kill non-combatants.
Yes, sir.
While the Indian Army has killed enough and more people in combat, but we must also give them due credit that we have captured so many people. Had Pakistani army captured people
Yes,
of
sir.
those numbers, we would not have seen those people alive, because they would have tortured them, they would have kept them in prison for very. It's a very barbaric country. It's a country with no morals. It's not a country that has any ethical mooring at all.
Yes, sir.
It's just a collection of crazy individuals who do, things based on some crazy medieval ideology like jihad, and they keep on killing people. That is what they do, and they need to be stopped.
Yes, sir. So, how far is the border fencing and or those security measures effective in controlling infiltration in the border areas, sir?
See, on the international border, there is the BSF, which is in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Punjab, the Jammu area from Samba, Akhnur and all that.
Yes, sir.
Some part of it is also the line of control. But on most of the line of control, and on the actual ground position line, up to the Siachen Glacier, the Indian army is there. Now, while it is possible to a very large extent to stop infiltration by putting in the latest technologies, laser wires,
Yes.
laser beams and electrical wires and stuff like that. The Israelis are masters at this. But I don't think it's going to be 100% effective. You still need human intervention. You still need a man with a rifle there to stop infiltration, because technology is not foolproof.
Yes, sir.
Technology is not 100%. And the Indian Army will never fully depend on technology alone to stop infiltration. The Army, in its own ethos and its own conditioning, always has checks and double checks and triple checks. That is the way the Army is taught to function. So, if if there is a border fence there, or if there is a laser wall there, it might relieve manpower, which can be put to better use in the army, but at the same time, there will be manpower there to plug in all the gaps.
Yes, sir. Sir, how far has been OP Sadbhavana been effective in the Kashmir region?
I think it's been very effective. It's been very, see, about Kashmir, I'll tell you, the impression that our media gives to people is that, everybody in Kashmir is dissatisfied and everybody is throwing stones. That's not true, actually. There are separatists, there are pockets of separatism in the Kashmir Valley and typically South Kashmir. There are problems there and there is no doubt about that. But the thing is that, you see, there are a huge majority of Kashmiris in the valley who are fence sitters, who are afraid of these people, right? I think Op Sadbhavana has been extremely successful, and that is the way to go about counter-insurgency operations or anti-terror operations. You cannot alienate a large section of the population. You have to take them with you because they are Indian citizens after all. So we follow a two-pronged policy. We have initiatives like Operation Sadbhavana, in which there are social welfare schemes and medical schemes and educational schemes, etc. And you also have kinetic operations, in the sense of the Indian Army and the Rashtriya Rifles doing operations, anti-terrorist operations, and also you have the steel fist and you have the velvet glove. So when you deal with the civilian population, you wear the velvet glove. When you deal with separatists and you deal with terrorists, then you take off the velvet glove and they see the steel fist of the Indian Army.
Yes, sir. So, sir, recently there have been reports that China has been crossing the Ladakh and the LAC line of actual control border,
Yes.
and coming to our Indian side and making camps and doing all that. So, what do you feel about that? This is a particularly aggression by Chinese army, and this cannot be tolerated. So, what do you feel about it, sir?
See, it's nothing, I'll tell you. China has been doing it for many, many years. This is not new. This is not something that has happened. They do it every year. They come in, they put up a few tents, we chase them out, they again come in next year. One thing to be noted is that after the 1962 war, right?
Yes, sir.
Except for one incident in the late 60s, there has hardly been any violence on the line of actual control on the Chinese border. It's largely a peaceful border.
Yes, sir.
The territory might be claimed by China diplomatically, but China does not want to fight with India.
Yes, sir.
The last thing China wants to do is fight with India, because fighting with India will no doubt harm India, but it will equally harm China. And China is on an economic run right now. They're doing very well. I mean, their economy has slowed down in the past 2 quarters, but at the same time, I think they're the second largest economy in the world. And the last thing China wants is a war with India. So these are irritants, but these are solved, and at most of the places on the Tibet border, there is the ITBP.
Yes, sir.
There is the Indian Army also, but there is the ITBP which does a lot of these things, and they are managing. I think the best way to deal with China is to talk to China and stop people at the border. Sometimes use force, sometimes use diplomacy, and so it must be a mixture of both.
Yes,
And this China thing can be tackled. You're talking about intrusions across the line,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
That they come, yes. I think
So what is the best way to tackle China and then use ally Pakistan?
See, China's Achilles heel is, it's not an Achilles heel actually, it's a very important part. It's from where they get their muscle, the economic might. Now, China is the manufacturer of the world, it is the factory of the world. Unless you challenge that status, okay, nothing is going to happen with China. So if you really want to solve, quote unquote, the China problem, if you really want to tackle the Chinese problem can be tackled if countries like India, Philippines, Indonesia, Japan, Taiwan, and most of these countries don't have very good relationships with China. Vietnam is one country which dislikes China.
China is like a bully in that region, right?
Yeah, China has claims over every country in the world, every sea lane in the world. It is like China behaves like, you must have seen those people, you have a lot of them in India, where a person who was not so well off suddenly gets a lot of money. You know, he loses his mental balance. He does not know what to do with that money. So he becomes uncouth. He becomes a bully. China is like that uncouth person who suddenly found a lot of wealth.
Sir.
And you using that wealth for influence, using that wealth for, spreading fear. So if you have these countries in a single belt and these countries cooperate, it is possible to take away the shine from China's economy,
Yes, sir.
right? You must remember there is no military solution between India and China. It has to be economic, it has to be diplomatic, it has to be trade. And giving an example from our ancient holy book, the Ramayana. So when Lord Ram was cutting off the head of Ravana, somebody said that you can cut off his head 100 times, it will not matter. It will just grow back. He's got 10 heads,
Yes.
just keep on growing back. In his navel there is the Amrit. And once you shoot at the Amrit, once you destroy that Amrit, Ravana will die. The Amrit of China is its economy. If China has 2,000 fighter planes, and if India says that we will also have 2,000 fighter planes, it's not going to stop China.
Yes, sir.
Because what is fueling those fighter planes is China's economy. Unless you hit Chinese economy, unless you hit them where it hurts, without economy, China is nothing. China was nothing 40 years back.
Yes, sir.
There was nobody respected China. It's only because of the economy. So you must realize that is their Achilles heel.
So, is there any gains for India if we join the CPEC corridor? Actually, we must not, in my personally.
Yeah.
But what do you feel about it?
See, I'll tell you, you must understand, this China-Pakistan economic corridor is a scam, okay? And many Pakistanis have gone on record, influential Pakistanis have gone on record, saying that it's a scam. And now allow me to explain why it's a scam. It's a scam because what does Pakistan get out of it? Pakistan gets nothing out of CPEC, okay? There is a report which is being floated by the Pakistan Chambers of Commerce and Industry, which says that by 2048, the majority population in Balochistan will be Chinese.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now just imagine, Balochistan constitutes 43 to 44% of Pakistan's landmass. Suddenly, the majority population in Balochistan will be Chinese.
Yes, sir.
So we're basically looking at a Chinese majority area towards our west. Though Balochistan has got no border with India, but there is a direct sea lane from Balochistan to Gujarat and to Maharashtra. Now, CPEC, all the contracts which are there in CPEC, they go to Chinese companies, right?
Yes, sir.
A lot of funds that have been given to Pakistan attract interests as high as 80%. Future Pakistani generations will spend their entire lifetimes, trying to repay this debt to China.
So, what do you feel about the recent inclination of Russia towards China and Pakistan? For example, Russia conducted military exercises in Pakistan,
Yes.
and Russia has also started building ties between China. In the case of Mongolia,
Yeah.
Recent diplomatic engagement with Dmitry
Yeah.
Moscow, and so what do you feel about it? Is it a threat to India that Russia is considered our all-time friend?
Yeah. See, Pakistan has done this in the past also. There was a time when America and China did not speak to each other. And in the 60s, Pakistan brokered a relationship between China and America. Now, Pakistan is doing the same thing. Russia has a negligible relationship with Pakistan. Alright? It's only Pakistan who will hire people to go on social media and tom down this relationship. Today, relationships are based on 3 factors, right? Ideology, trade, and mutual interests. Now, Pakistan and Russia don't share an ideology. Pakistan has no money. Russia is a country that is under sanctions,
Yes, sir.
right? It needs US dollars. Why would Russia be close to a country like Pakistan, which is a beggar nation, that has no money to buy anything? Pakistan, please understand, Pakistan survives on arms which are given. It survives on doles that are given by the IMF, the World Bank. Pakistan survives on aid that is given by Saudi Arabia. what does Pakistan export? Name one Pakistani brand that you know, except for masalas and some, towels or underwear that they make. Pakistan makes nothing.
Yes, sir.
Now, that plane that they are so proud of, that fighter aircraft, JF-17 Thunder, I think they call it, right? That is also a Chinese aircraft. It's not like it's being made by Pakistan. So, I'm not saying that, Pakistan does not have a pool of talent. What I'm saying is Pakistan is bankrupt. It has no money.
Yes, sir.
Its debt is unmanageable. You see? So, why would Russia be friendly? Russia has conducted an exercise with Pakistan, and every country would want to conduct an exercise with Pakistan simply because this was an anti-terrorism exercise.
Yes, sir.
And which better country to conduct an anti-terrorism exercise with than Pakistan, which is the place where global terrorists are born and raised and trained and financed.
Yes, sir.
Everybody wants to come inside Pakistan for the purpose of terror. You don't have cricket teams coming to Pakistan. You don't have business houses coming to Pakistan. You don't have massive trade with Pakistan. There is no positive news coming out of Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
You see, all that happens in Pakistan is somebody doing a military exercise, Pakistan shooting off a missile. And what are these missiles that Pakistan shoots off?
Yes, sir.
These are Chinese missiles. They paint it green. After painting it green, they call it Gauri, Babar, Ghaznavi or some funny name, and they shoot it off and they say this is a Pakistani missile. So, see, you must take everything that Pakistan says with a pinch of salt, and Pakistan consistently saying that we have invited this country to be part of CPAC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or this country. See, Pakistan's contribution to CPAC is just 2 or 3%. Pakistan is getting the land, Pakistan is making no investment. Okay? And even Pakistan is not clear, the people of Pakistan are not clear what are the tangible benefits from CPAC.
Yes, sir.
It's like a chungi naka, it's like a toll tax state, Chinese goods will come and people will benefit. So there are some tertiary benefits which Pakistan may accrue. Now, let me tell you, Pakistan will have no trade benefits from CPAC because Pakistan produces nothing, right? What is China doing? China is using CPAC to get oil
Yes, sir.
from the Middle East or from Saudi Arabia. They're using that.
Yes, sir.
And they will again use CPAC to send in their goods, which earlier used to come from, the Malacca Strait and all around. Now they can come straight from Kashgar to Gwadar.
Yes,
They're going to do that. China has very valid reasons, and China's reasons are also strategic because CPAC, if it happens as planned, which I really doubt that it will happen as planned because it is too ambitious a plan for a country like Pakistan. Pakistan has tremendous amount of problems. One, it's broke. Secondly, it's got horrible ethnic violence.
Yes, sir.
Three, it is the hotbed of Islamic militancy. You see, Pakistan is geographically and strategically important. And that is what Pakistan has been selling to the world ever since it came into existence. People are afraid of Pakistan sinking because it will have repercussions. Just imagine a fanatic Islamic country with a terrorism problem, with nuclear weapons.
Yes, sir.
Even if you hate Pakistan, you will not allow it to fail because it will have very negative impacts for the region and for the world as large. Suddenly what happens if a bunch of Taliban come and take over Pakistan's nuclear weapons? Right? This is a far-off scenario. It's not likely to happen because the Pakistani army is guarding its nuclear assets very well. But I'm just saying that it does not have to be a frontal Taliban attack. It can also be sympathizers. These same sympathizers from within the military tried to kill General Pervez Musharraf, who was their president. I'm sure you're aware of that case.
Yes, sir.
Where many people from the Air Force and the Army were court-martialed and some were, sentenced to death and some were imprisoned for a very long period of time. So, their military has been infiltrated already.
Yes, sir.
You see? So that is why it is dangerous. So, for Pakistan to say that, we'll get Russia involved in this thing, everybody is afraid of Pakistan failing. Pakistan does not have any great product to offer to the world. It does not have great IT. They had one company, IT company called Exact, which turned out to be a massive fraud.
Yes, sir.
So what does Pakistan export? It exports nothing. It manufactures almost nothing.
Yes, sir.
If you compare it to India or any other country, what does it manufacture? It manufactures nothing. I wrote an article and it was very well received If you have seen that movie Sholay,
Yes, sir.
so there is a scene where the character of Viru, who's a village drunk, he'll go on the water tower and he'll say that unless you get me married to Basanti, I will commit suicide. You must have seen that iconic scene from the film Sholay. Pakistan is like that. You know, I will kill myself if you don't help me.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, see, Pakistan has nothing to show to the world. Absolutely nothing. They're a big fat zero. They are not respected. And the worst part of Pakistan, you know, Pakistanis, they write to me, they say that we are also suffering from terrorism. And I always tell them, brother, your biggest problem is not terrorism. Your biggest problem is that you have zero international credibility. That is the problem in Pakistan.
Yes, sir.